journey. Oh, I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job. Hey, happy morning. Good morning, everybody. We are going to jump in. So today is strengthening our roots. We are over in Mark chapter 7, and we're going to start at 31. It's really good. So, I don't even know. Let's see who's on first. Bert, how's it going, man? Good morning, Vivian. Good morning. All right, love you guys. Thanks for jumping on. So if you got your Bibles, turn with me to Mark or scroll, whatever it is, to Mark 7. We're going to start at the 31st verse, and I'll probably read it through the end, and then we'll talk about it. All right. So, hey, good morning. So, starting in 31, again, departing from the region of Tyre and Sidon, he came through the midst of the region of Damascus to the Sea of Galilee. So this is the area where, remember the story where Jesus healed the demoniac, right? And then the demoniac, he sent all the demons, the legions, into the pigs, and then they got drowned or whatever. And then the demoniac wanted to come with Jesus. So this is that area. So he said, "No, go be with your family and tell all the good things about the Lord." And so that demoniac has been doing that, right? And so now all these people in this is like a Gentile region, right? Like these are not Jewish folk. These are Gentiles, and but all these Gentiles have heard about the miraculous signs and wonders of Jesus, and they're sending people from all over. They're sending people to Jesus, and so Jesus is back in this area. 32. Then they brought to him one who was deaf and had an impediment in his speech. So some scholars say that he actually couldn't speak at all, like he didn't have any sound. That word is the anyways, it doesn't matter. And they begged him to put his hands on him, and so Jesus he took him aside from the multitude. So there's all these people around, and Jesus calls this guy out. Takes him by himself, right? He takes him away from the multitude, and he puts his fingers in his ears, and he spit and touched his tongue. Then he looked up to heaven and sighed and said to him, "Ephphatha," that is, be open. Immediately his ears were open, and the immediate of his impediment of his tongue was loosened, and he spoke plainly. Then he commanded them that they should tell no one. But the more he commanded them, the more widely they proclaimed it. And they were astonished beyond measure, saying, "He has done all things well. He makes both the deaf to hear and the mute to speak." Right? So I just think this is so good. Hey, good morning. Thanks for jumping on. Morning, Steve. Great men's devotion this morning. So let's just dive in, right? So this guy who it was blind and mute from birth, wakes up one morning and his friends, his buddies are like, dude, we gotta go, right? And he doesn't know Jesus, right? He's never heard Jesus. And so, but they're dragging this guy to Jesus. They're dragging him to the Lord. And then he has this encounter. He meets the Lord. But I want to say, like, man, isn't that like that's like us, right? Like, we should be dragging people to Jesus, and not to some religious establishment, not to some way of thinking, not to some doctrinal truths. They're not trying to indoctrinate this guy. They're not trying to teach him some theology. They're actually just bringing him to Jesus. They're bringing him to an encounter with a man, right? The man, the Christ, the Holy One from God, and that's our lives, guys. That's what we should be doing too. It's not in us to be. It's not for us to try to convince people into a way of thinking or into like doctrinal truths and debating folk. Guys, we want to invite people into an encounter with the Lord, right? That same encounter that changed our lives will change their lives. And so we want to invite people into that place where they can be forever changed. And so they bring this guy to Jesus, and he has no idea who Jesus is. And so Jesus, I want to give a little light to this. When they came from, oh wait, I jumped all the way to the front. All right, there we go. They brought to him one who was deaf and had an impediment in his speech. Then they begged him to put his hands on him. He took him aside from the multitude. And I just love this, right? Like Jesus takes this guy, he leads this guy away from all the noise, all the distraction. He has this one-on-one encounter with this guy, and he puts his fingers in his ears, right? And so what is Jesus doing here? Like this guy doesn't have language. This guy doesn't have speech. He's mute, like they said in the beginning or at the end. And so he doesn't speak an earthly language, right? Like he doesn't speak like English, Aramaic, Greek. He speaks sign language, right? And so Jesus is speaking his language, right? He's touching his ear, and I know because Jesus spit in the mud that one time and put it in the guy's eye that we just assume that he spit on this guy's tongue. But just imagine that, right? Like this guy doesn't know who Jesus is, and then everybody can pick up cues, right? Like his go-to or his greatest attribute is like his sight and touch probably. And so if somebody's just random guy is grabbing your tongue and he's like, no, I don't think Jesus is doing that, right? Like Jesus is saying, he's touching his ear, like, is there an issue here, right? And the guy's like, yeah. And then it says he spit, right? So he's like, and then he touches his tongue, right? And so Jesus is communicating to this guy, like, is there an issue here too, right? And the guy's like, yeah, probably shaking yes. And then he looks up to the sky and he sighs, right? Right? And I'm sure that guy is like, just, yeah, I'm there all the time. I'm there too, right? Like he's relating to this guy. He's communicating to this guy's language, like in this guy's language. And then he speaks. He's not speaking to the guy, right? Because the guy can't hear anything. He's speaking to the neural pathways. He's speaking to the eardrum. He's speaking to the tongue. And he says, Ephphatha, that is to be open. And in the Greek, it actually is be completely open, right? And that's where the miracle comes. It's not the miracle didn't come when like because he spit on somebody or because he touched him. He spoke to these things, and immediately this guy, his ears were open, and immediately his tongue was loose, and he spoke plainly, right? Like this guy who didn't have language before, right? Like God gave him language. Like it's way more than just him hearing, and it's way more than just him, speaking, just words that he doesn't know. Like God gave him language. Like my boys, right? Like it took them 3 years, 2 years, a year and a half, whatever, however long it took them to actually understand. Like by the time somebody's 3, they can, a 3-year-old has like 600 plus words memorized. This guy immediately got these words, right? Like now he can describe like warmth and how he feels inside and all these other things that he couldn't do moments before. And so I'm sure this guy spoke so eloquently, right? Because like it was because everything that is talked about with Jesus, like nobody speaks like this guy. Nobody, has words like this guy. Like who is this guy? And so he got he got taught how to speak from Jesus, right? And so his buddies were amazed, and they said they were astonished beyond measure, saying, "He has done all things well. He makes both the deaf to hear and the mute to speak." And I just think this is incredible, and there's so many things to take out of it, this whole chapter. But so I would encourage you to go back and look at it. But I think the key takeaways for me is they brought their buddy to Jesus, not to a religious establishment, not to a way of thinking, but they brought him to Jesus. And that's what we should be doing. We should be bringing people to the person of Jesus, and that invite them into that love affair that we have learned to grow in love. And then also, this last point I want to make is he told them not to tell anybody, right? And then they told everybody, right? The more he commanded them to not say something, the more they spoke about it. But the opposite is true for us, right? Like he tells us to tell everybody, and we don't tell anybody. So maybe God should have said, "Hey, don't tell nobody," and then we would have turned this world upside down. But I want us to be encouraged. Like, man, let's tell some people. Let's get some people to Jesus this week. Let's be that city on a hill that can't be hidden. Let's be a voice in the wilderness, calling out and drawing people to a place that they don't know. And so I hope this was an encouragement to you. I hope you will dig into Mark. It's a beautiful chapter, and yeah. So I hope let somebody see Jesus in you today. We'll be right back here with Steve for prayer at 9 o'clock. So be blessed, guys. Love you, and we'll see you soon. Peace.